What was the first video game ever to use artificial intelligence? When did computers stop just moving sprites in fixed patterns and start thinking, or at least pretend to think, on behalf of characters in games? Well, today we're tracing the earliest roots of AI in video games. From simple programmed opponents to the ghosts of Pac-Man that felt alive. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's get into it. Before we talk about the first AI games, we need to be clear what game AI actually is. Video game AI isn't usually true AI. It refers to a computational system built to control non-player characters. It generates dynamic behaviors, or it simulates decision-making. Things that feel intelligent to players, even if they're rule-based rather than self-learning. Kind of like the ghosts in Pac-Man. This includes things as simple as chasing patterns and as complex as adaptive decision tree. But in all cases, early game AI was about giving life to behavior in games, not autonomous machine learning. Long before arcade cabinets became mainstream, computer researchers were already writing programs that could play games against humans. This is arguably the earliest roots of game AI. In 1942, a computerized version of NIM. No, that's not the right NIM. It's this NIM. That's a cartoon. Was created that could consistently beat humans. In the 1950s, early computing pioneers wrote programs for checkers and chess on pioneering computers like the Ferranti Mark I. One checkers program even challenged skilled amateurs. Now, these weren't commercial video games, but they set the stage. Computers that could make decisions in game environments. The transition towards video game AI really took off with arcade games in the 1970s. Released in 1978, Space Invaders used simple AI to move enemies in patterns and increase difficulty as you played. Primitive by today's standards, of course, but it changed the game by making enemies reactive. Then Galaxian built on that idea by adding more complex enemy movements, including like individual enemies breaking formation for dive bomb attacks. And that was also the same with Galaga. These games didn't learn in any modern sense. Their behavior was all rule-based, but they felt like they were thinking. That was the birth of game AI as most players first experienced it. If early arcade games hinted at game AI, Pac-Man was where it really clicked for players. Pac-Man had 4 ghosts: Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde. Yes, there was Sue, but we're talking original. And each had distinct behavior pattern. Blinky chased you direct. Pinky tried to ambush you ahead of your path. Inky used more complex strategy influenced by other ghosts. And Clyde alternated between chasing and retreating. Even though it was all hard-coded behavior, the game gave the illusion of intelligence. And that's exactly what playable AI is about. This was one of the first times a game's AI felt strategic rather than random or predictable. The next big step came when AI in games began to simulate life rather than just patterned enemies. Creatures. This game used neural networks inside its creatures called Norns to learn behavior over time, feeding itself, talking, and reacting to threats. This is often credited as the first popular application of machine learning in a game simulator. Around the same time, Galapagos, Mendel's Escape, also experimented with artificial life to control its creature in a self-organizing way. It pushed AI concepts even further. These titles were less about enemies chasing the player and more about worlds with independent behavior. By the 2000s, AI in games became much more complex. One landmark example was Fear. It introduced goal-oriented action planning, or GOAP. GOAP, where enemies chose goals and plan actions to achieve them, giving them much more autonomy than traditional scripted behaviors. Systems like these made enemy AI strategic, capable of flanking players and taking cover and reacting dynamically. Not just reacting, but it was kind of planning attacks. Early game AI wasn't about replicating human thought. It was about creating believable behavior within tight technical limits, from ghosts chasing Pac-Man to creatures learning how to survive. Each step expanded what players felt was intelligent. And as AI techniques evolved, from rule sets to decision trees, planning systems, and even machine learning, games became richer and more dynamic, more immersive. That's what we all want, immersion. So, what was the first video game to use AI? Well, it depends on how you define it. If you go by AI in computing, early checkers programs in the 1950s are the pioneers. If you go by AI in commercial games, Space Invaders and Pac-Man are early popular milestones. And if you mean AI learning or simulation, titles like Creatures pushed boundaries in the 1990s. And then that all evolved to Call of Duty making Skibbity Toilet your end boss for Black Ops. Oh, how far we've come. So if you want a full timeline from arcade ghosts to modern adaptive AI, let me know and I'll possibly break it down and make another video. Or I could just make a Call of Duty video about how horrible Skibbity Toilet is. Sure, why not? If you like this video, hit like, hit subscribe, post your thoughts in the comments. What do you think of AI in video games? Me, as long as it doesn't look dumb, I don't care. Alright, bye.